Let's talk to Noga Tarnopolsky, our correspondent who joins us from Jerusalem. Once again, Noga, the details are very sketchy at this stage. I don't know whether you have any more, but it does appear there may well have been a violation of the ceasefire now.
Hi, Stuart. Good to see you. There absolutely was the kind of violation that happens when one of the parties wants to test the will of the leaders involved, I think. Iran launched what the IDF, the Israel Defense Forces, says a single missile. It was intercepted by Israeli air defense over the northern Israeli border, I think over the Israeli-controlled part of the Golan Heights. And we have this announcement from the defense minister, Israel Katz, who already says that he has instructed the IDF to respond forcefully to Iran's violation of the ceasefire with powerful strikes against regime targets in the heart of Tehran.
It does sound, Noga, assuming that happens, that we're back to square one.
We could be back to square one. We could be in a sort of ragged moment in which, you know, each side is testing the will of the others. I think it's important to remember in the case of this particular ceasefire, it was basically imposed in the middle of the night here in the Middle East by the American president, who apparently simply said enough, said to the Israelis, I did what you wanted, this is enough, and said to the Iranians, this is it. Now, I want to say one thing about this threat from the defense minister of Israel. It is very, very difficult to do what he just said he has ordered the IDF to do. In other words, to hit regime targets in the heart of Tehran. I want to read you from a report that we've just gotten in from Reuters while I was talking with you, that the judiciary in Iran has announced that certain people were killed, including prisoners and some of their family members, in the Israeli attack against Evin prison, also the notorious prison in the middle of Tehran, where political opponents are held. So Israel said it was doing this basically as part of an effort to, to point out how repressive the Iranian regime is, to damage the organs of that repression. And now we're hearing from the judiciary spokesman, Asghar Jahangir in Iran, that judiciary workers and administrative workers were killed, but also inmates and members of their families.
You talked a moment ago, Noga, about this single missile, assuming that proves to be the case, that it was just a single missile, is a bit of a test here. If we do still get to the point where there is a ceasefire, how can Benjamin Netanyahu claim this overall at this point as a victory? Can he do that?
Netanyahu will claim this as a victory, I believe, so long as there's no definitive information proving him wrong on the nuclear issue. If Iran, for example, were to run a test, a small nuclear test in the middle of the desert in Iran in 2 months, Netanyahu's entire Iran operation will be seen as a misadventure and as a failure. I think the main point is the nuclear part. So for now, in the muddle of war and without definitive information about the nuclear project itself, all of the scientists, the nuclear material, Netanyahu can say that he won. His other big win, of course, is that Donald Trump joined him. And so he gave him, Netanyahu, from his point of view, granted him this ceasefire. And I think that if and until when Donald Trump and Netanyahu have a public spat, until that time, Netanyahu can claim to have the United States on his side and can claim this, what he calls this historic victory of removing an existential threat that has faced Israel for the last 30 years.